Good day, brother. I've been with my girl for over 6.5 years, and during that time, I've worked anywhere from 60 to 80 hours per week, basically every week, on my businesses. And today, I want to share four brutally honest lessons with you that I wish I had learned earlier because they would have saved both my relationship and my businesses from a lot of stagnation. Now, before we get into lesson number one, I want to make one thing very clear. I heavily doubted whether this is even possible, building a business while you're in a relationship, running a business while you're in a relationship, because everyone told me, nah, relationships, women, it's a distraction, right? That changed when I studied the kind of entrepreneurs that I like, fucking hell, can't talk, the entrepreneurs that I looked up to. Sam Ovens, the OG of YouTube business advice, Alex Hormozy, Luke Belmar, all these guys are in long-term relationships and have been when they were broke, and they're still with the same woman now that they're pretty rich, right? And then I went and I studied some of the men from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, which he wrote around 100 years ago. And basically he interviewed the 500 most influential, most successful people at that time, of course, mostly men 100 years ago, right? And what he found was, he explicitly said this in Think and Grow Rich in his book, that these men attributed a lot of their success to their relationship, to their woman, to the support they got. And they said they couldn't have done it without her. And that's when I realized a lot of stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that I want to share with you today. Both what I learned from these men and what I learned from my own experience, so that by the end of this video, you can actually do this yourself. Because let's be honest, success is great, but if you can't share it with anyone, if you don't have a meaningful relationship where you can share that success and that happiness and that fulfillment with someone, then it's not really worth anything. Let's jump right into lesson number one, because you're a busy guy, I'm a busy guy, let's not waste any time here. So, as business owners, we have these crazy ups and downs where sometimes we make someone's yearly income in a week, and then we have a dry spell for months, or the business has a dry spell for months where we barely make any money or even lose money, or we're building something new and that costs a lot of money, but we're not yet making money from it, right? Whatever it might be, in those moments where we have these crazy ups and downs that most employed people simply don't have, what happens in those moments is we want a woman that gives us peace, not chaos, right? And most men still believe this isn't possible because they've been told, just like me, that women are a distraction and whatever else by these red pill man children, right? Here's the thing. Well, I can imagine being very distracted and getting very little shit done when I'm constantly going on dating apps, improving my text game, going out to nightclubs, partying, drinking, whatever, socializing, all this bullshit, just to have sex, basically. Yes, that is very distracting. But a long-term relationship, that's completely different. But still, you want a woman who gives you peace, not chaos. And that is mostly on you. Let me explain. Because what these conditioned red pill guys still haven't understood, or still haven't experienced, honestly, is being with a woman who understands your purpose, who supports your goals, who stands behind you and actually pushes you forward. And even with a woman like that, though, it's not smooth sailing, because the feminine side of that woman can still be very chaotic. And if you don't know how to handle her chaos, you won't get her peace. The best analogy I can give for this is, imagine the feminine like an ocean, right? The ocean is vast, it's beautiful, it's powerful, but it's also chaotic and destructive and uncontrollable. And what most men haven't understood till this day is that you can't get one without the other. Just like with the ocean, you can't get the beautiful, smooth, perfect, glassy ocean without having a storm every once in a while. It's the same exact thing with your woman. And if you don't know how to handle those storms, if you try to suppress those storms, you suppress the exact same other thing, the peace, the beauty as well. It's two sides of the same coin. You can't get one without the other. You can't suppress one and expect to get the other. If you judge her for her chaos, she will suppress that chaos, and she will also suppress the beauty and the peace. And at the end of the day, if she's the ocean, you need to become that unswayable rock in the ocean that stands there firm, grounded, and loving. Basically, the moment that you learn to respond lovingly to her chaos, instead of reacting impulsively, everything will change both for her and for you. Look, man, the moment she's in that chaotic, destructive, just negative mood, how does it help to throw exactly that back at her. How does that help? I get you, right? Like, I've been there, where you're just like, I just need to focus on my shit right now, just leave me alone, whatever. Like, you're in the zone, you want to get shit done, whatever, and then she brings some bullshit, irrational thing that you don't really want to deal with. Well, man, be a fucking man. Deal with it. You have chosen to spend your time, maybe your whole life, with this woman. Deal with it. Make her feel better. Give her that peace. Give her from that grounded, loving perspective. Respond in a way where she can actually trust you and relax into you and relax into your groundedness, and see that despite what she throws at you, you will stay that unswayable rock. You will stay loving. You will stay grounded. You will stay humorous instead of constantly throwing back at her what she throws at you. You're a fucking team. And if she brings negativity, you can bring positivity, and the other way around. And let me finish off this point with this. I've said this in the past and it's stuck with a lot of people. Imagine your woman is a flower. A flower doesn't bloom every day, but that doesn't mean that you don't water it every single day. The moment you stop watering it, that flower dies. And if that flower dies, you won't get that peace that you actually want, that helps you to actually build your business in a much better way and actually work much better. And by the way, I hope you're taking notes, because if you're not, then you're wasting my time and you're wasting your own time. Because at the end of the day, if you're constantly concerned about your relationship, if there's constant chaos and constant conflict in your relationship, how the fuck would you focus on your work? I've been at that point, and I didn't get anything done, and the business didn't get off the ground, and in the end it failed. And that's honestly a big part of that is the relationship. Why do you think that Sam Ovens, OG business YouTube advice guy, why do you think that he always said you don't have business problems, you have personal problems? Simply because you can't focus on your work when you're constantly preoccupied with your relationship, constantly just, oh fuck, this is going wrong, this is going wrong, this is going wrong. That doesn't work. Look, I had this guy Leo come to me, guy from the UK, 21 years old, right? Already had a quite successful jewelry shop at that time. And he came to me because he couldn't really focus on his work, because he was constantly just preoccupied with his relationship. He was constantly thinking like, how do I fix this? There's so much chaos, so much conflict. I want to spend my life with this girl, but there's so much stuff going on. He couldn't actually focus on his work. And now, after just a couple months of working with me, bro, not only is his relationship fantastic, but also he has bought, at 21 years old, he bought a second jewelry shop, because that's how much he can now focus. He bought a fucking business at 21 years old. Holy shit, man. Because he can actually focus on it now. Because he has that foundation, that relationship where he knows he can go out into the world, and I'll talk about this later on. He can go out into the world and he can come back and he knows he can take risks, because he has that solid, secure foundation. And just to drive this point home, I want to tell you about my client Tim, 28-year-old guy from the US who owned a very regular like brick and mortar business, an HVAC business, right? And he basically was this 28-year-old going from failed relationship to failed relationship, and his business was in debt. I didn't help him with business though. I helped him with relationships. And I helped him build a rock solid, peaceful, fulfilling relationship. And he sent me a message a couple of weeks ago telling me that he has to hire people now because of the amount of work his business gets. And he also told me that investing into building a stable relationship was one of the best things he has ever done for his business, because now he can actually focus on it. He doesn't have to go on the dating market anymore. He doesn't have to get to know all these different people. He has a rock solid foundation, a rock solid relationship with an awesome woman that will probably last a lifetime. And therefore, he can focus on his business while sharing that success that he's building now with this woman, which is fucking awesome. By the way, Leo, Tim, hope you're doing great. I love you guys. Now for lesson number 2, a big thing that our women feel negative towards, let's put it like that, is us working a lot, which quite frankly, we don't just have to do to get something off the ground and then continue running it, continue scaling it, but also we want to do it. From a certain point onwards, you simply do work that you enjoy. And of course, there's always stuff that you don't enjoy, right? But you do the work because you actually want to do the work. You want to work. We have this innate drive, us like entrepreneurs and business owners and just ambitious guys in general, we have this innate drive of like just pushing to like 99.9% of our edge, just finding that edge, finding how far we can go essentially. And a lot of women don't understand that at first. My girl didn't either. And she would always, I remember this, like she would ask me to spend more time with her and more time with her and more time with her. And I had no idea how to actually deal with this because I also wanted to work. So let me break this down for you in lesson 2, because here's what most men don't realize. She doesn't actually need more time. She needs something different from you. And once you understand this, your relationship, but also your work and your focus will shift immensely. Because like I said, what happened for me was my girl would always ask me for more time. And well, I'll be honest, I wanted her to be happy while having a thriving business, right? So I did spend more time with her. And then she would ask for more time. And I was like, well, we already spend more time together. Like, what's going on? So, but okay, spend more time with her. Then she would still not be satisfied. And I got to a point where I was like, this is kind of unreasonable. Like, is she just being unreasonable? Am I being stupid? Do I not know how to deal with this? Until I realized a very important lesson. The more time that I spent with her, the less I was actually there. The less I was actually present with her. I hadn't gotten my shit done yet. And I was physically there, but mentally, emotionally, I was in my office working. I was solving problems. I was setting goals. I was planning things. I wasn't actually there with her. And the thing that most women ask for when they ask for more time, even though they ask in a kind of clumsy way, they're asking for presence. They're asking for your undisturbed attention and presence. And if there's a moment where you know that you can't give that, then don't spend time with her. I mean this. If there's a moment where you know, hey, I need to work right now, I need to solve this problem, whatever it is, I need to get this done, do that. And then come back to her, and maybe even beforehand tell her, this is what I do at least, beforehand tell her like, hey, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to be done by X time, most likely. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, right? And then we're going to do X. And I give her something to look forward to, because that makes it much easier for her to, well, actually look forward to it, right? There's this German, I'm German by the way, there's this German saying, which is basically, joyful anticipation is the greatest joy. When we joyfully anticipate something, that's the greatest joy that we can feel. You know this feeling, like young you on the day before you went on a field trip with your school. That's exactly that feeling, joyful anticipation, right? Give her that. That's gonna suffice. I don't know if that's the right word. I think that's gonna suffice while you're gone, while you're getting that shit sorted, and while you're working. And then you can actually, once you got your stuff done, you can actually be fully present with her and actually give her that loving, caring attention that she needs. And apart from just getting shit done, you also have to learn to switch between do mode, where you're just in kind of to-do list mode, just checking things off the list, and in be mode, where you just are, where you're just present. And once you can make that switch effectively and quickly, holy shit, man, your life will change. Because not only will you be able to switch that flip immediately when you get into your office or when you get to your work, and you can just get that shit done, not thinking about anything else, not getting distracted, but also you can then leave the office. And this is something that a lot of people talk about, right? A lot of employees talk about this, where they're like, well, the moment I leave the office, I don't think about my work anymore. For us entrepreneurs, that doesn't fucking work. That's what people think, at least, right? I don't believe so. Yes. Am I constantly thinking about my business? Yes. Do I want to do that? Yes. Can I consciously, very quickly make a switch to not think about it? Absolutely. Because I've trained my mind to do that. And once you can make that switch, you will have such profound moments with your partner, because you're actually going to be there physically, mentally, emotionally, sexually, spiritually. You will be there fully. And that's where true deep connection happens. And by the way, real quick, before we get into lesson number 3, if you are a driven man in his 20s or early 30s who is actually serious about taking his relationship to that level where both you and her feel at peace, feel fulfilled, and feel passionate about each other, where you can build that solid, lifelong relationship and partnership, companionship with each other, then I want to offer you my help. What you can do is you can click the link in the description and you can go over to that page and watch the explainer video on that page. I explain everything there on how I can help you, how everything works, all of that. And what you can then do, if this sounds interesting to you, is you can click that big orange button on that page and you can essentially apply for my mentorship. And when your application looks qualified, then you will automatically be able to schedule an alignment call with me. That's free, of course. That's just not a high pressure sales call or anything. It's just a call where we get to know each other and we figure out whether you're a good fit for working with me. No pressure, of course, no strings attached, whatever. And you know me, this is not some bullshit $300 online course. This is a deep, powerful transformation of your relationship that I will guide you through. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out, link in description. Now, lesson number 3 is very powerful because this happens every single day, many times, meaning you have many opportunities every single day to do this right. And if you do, your relationship will transform rapidly. Because here's the thing, you want your woman to understand your purpose, right? You want her to value your work. You want her to support you and to understand why you work so hard. Well, until you understand this, she won't get it. Now, I want to tell you a quick story from my life that really highlights this point. Because if I just give you this advice, it will stick with you for a couple of days, cool. But if I tell you a story that you can relate to, it will stick with you for years. And that's what I want for you here. So, ever since I was like 16, 17, I had these days, every couple of weeks, I had one of these days where I had some bigger problem. Recently, it's mostly been business-wise, right? And I just can't seem to solve that unless I stay up until like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. and just fucking solve it. And also, I can't go to bed in those moments. I can't fall asleep. I just think and think and think. My head is just turning, which is a good thing, right? I'm not complaining here. I like my head and my mind. But at the end of the day, I usually would always go to bed with my girl at like 9:30 p.m. Very focused on health and sleep, both of us, right? But for the first around 4 years of that relationship, I had those weeks, those days still, but I still went to bed at 9:30 with her. I didn't actually do the work. And then I was just lying awake in bed until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. where I would eventually fall asleep. Then I would be tired the next day, but the problem still wouldn't be solved. I would beat myself up for it. And you probably know why I did that. Because I didn't want to disappoint my girl. I was afraid I would maybe upset her if I didn't go to bed with her at 9:30. And this is, of course, a much bigger thing that doesn't just apply to this specific situation, right? Because in general, I was fucking terrified of saying no to her. If she wanted me to go to bed at 9:30 with her, then I would be like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't want to upset you. I don't want to have any conflict. I don't want to say no, even though I want to stay up. And recently, well, I have been doing this. Literally like yesterday, which is a funny coincidence. I stayed up last night until 4:30 a.m. and worked and solved the problem. Fucking hyped about this, honestly. Right now it's 7:30 a.m. I slept like 2.5 hours. I do not say that you should do this. Absolutely, please don't. This is not healthy, and I don't do this often. I do this, like I said, every 4, 5, 6 weeks once. But anyway, now I do this. And I've been doing this for the last 3 years. And in those 3 years, not only has my relationship shifted profoundly because I've learned to say no to her, not just in this situation, but in many situations, but also it has done a fuck ton for my personal goals, whether it's athletic goals, whether it's business goals, whether it's intellectual goals, doesn't matter. And you know, looking back at that time when I didn't do it, it was funny because in business, in my work, I was so confident, I was so determined. But then in my relationship, I couldn't really do the same thing. You might have the same thing where you can lead a team, you can lead like 20 people, whatever, but you can't lead your woman. And that kind of makes you feel ashamed of yourself. Let's be honest here. It certainly did that for me. And so what do? We cater to every single wish she has. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, right? But again, this whole happy wife, happy life thing, well, yeah, it certainly helps when she's happy, right? Great. But you won't make her happy. Especially not by sacrificing your goals and dreams. The only thing that will lead to is resentment and conflict. And for me personally, the reason I give you this point is because this almost actually led to my relationship breaking apart multiple times. Because, to be honest with you, I thought, oh, she's holding me back. But the honest reality is I was holding myself back because I was afraid of saying no. I was afraid of doing the things that I actually wanted to do because I was afraid of conflict. I was afraid of upsetting her. And honestly, man, I held back my business from thriving. And I held back my relationship from going deeper. Because the honest reality is, if your woman can't trust your no, then she also can't trust your yes. If my girl can't trust that I will say no when I mean to say no, then she can't trust my yes. And my yes will become meaningless to her. And now you might be like, oh, but how would she know that? How would she know that you're just saying yes out of fear of upsetting her and whatever else? Well, man, the answer is feminine intuition. And you have experienced those moments. You have experienced those exact moments where maybe your girl comes to you and she's super excited. She wants to do something. She wants to whatever, like do some activity together or whatever. And you don't really want to do it. You want to work. You want to like whatever you want to do, right? You have something else planned, but instead you say yes. And the moment you say yes, all her excitement fades and she doesn't even really want to do it anymore because she sees that you actually don't want to be there. And brother, if you don't want to be there, she doesn't want you to be there. There's no value in her being with someone who doesn't want to be there. Just makes her feel shit about herself. Just makes her doubt herself. So to get back to the original point, how would she value your goals, your purpose, your ambitions if you don't even value them yourself? If your goals aren't even worth you saying no to her and risking a bit of conflict, how would she then actually value your goals? Can't happen, brother. And please don't use this advice. For the love of God, don't use this advice to become a self-absorbed I can't even say this word. Let me try again. Self-absorbed dork. There we go. Who neglects his woman and just focuses on his goals and blah, blah. And this is not what we're here for. Use this advice to build a deeper relationship and achieve your highest goals. Because, man, the moment that I started doing this, my girlfriend developed such a deep trust and reverence for me because she saw that I was living with integrity. And she started valuing my goals and started supporting my goals a lot more. So now we're on to lesson number 4, which is by far the most valuable lesson in this video. Because I always keep the most powerful insights towards the end of these videos for guys like you who actually take this shit serious, who actually want to improve their relationship and build a lifelong partnership with their woman or future woman. So here we go. Because, yeah, man, I value this a lot. I value you being here and actually learning about this stuff. I think it's a very valuable pursuit. So, lesson number 4, the reason it's so powerful is because this is something that, honestly, every single person has this wrong. Every single person in the modern world has this wrong. In attachment science, basically the science of how we attach to people, right? And why we attach to people. There's this thing called the dependency paradox. And this can teach us and can teach you a lot about why you don't feel as independent in your relationship as you would maybe want to feel. Because, hey, let's be honest, you're an entrepreneur. You want to have that side where you feel a bit independent. And the funny thing is, I'll quickly go on a bit of a detour here. When I was younger, earlier years of this relationship, I was deeply anxiously attached to my girl. Like very kind of negatively attached, constantly preoccupied with the relationship, constantly overthinking, constantly like, oh, she hasn't texted me back in a couple of hours. She's probably gonna break up with me. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm actually not kidding. When she didn't text me for a couple hours in the evening, I would like text her or call her, and I would literally get this fear of like, oh, some guy will pick up and just tell me, hey, bro, she's busy, and she would just basically be cheating on me, right? Like, I literally had this fear, even though there were no red flags. It was simply that fear was within me because of past experiences with friendships and family that I've made. Anyway, even though I had that and I had such a strong need for connection and for depending on her, essentially, I still wanted to have that independence, right? Because that's what everyone is talking about these days. You need to be independent, you need to be your own person, whatever. And I do agree to a point. But let me break this down for you, because this is very important if you, well, have your own pursuit, if you have a business that you're running, that you want to have thriving, essentially, right? Because you need to balance that with your relationship, and you need to have that independence. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean with independence here in a second, because it's not what most people mean with independence. So what this dependency paradox teaches us about ourselves, and by the way, this is like evolutionary biology, right? Like, this is our inner biology. This is not some woo-woo shit. This is legit science stuff, right? That has been researched for decades. So what this teaches us is that without having someone or something to depend on, it's actually very difficult to be independent and autonomous. Maybe you know these people who constantly talk about, I want to be independent, I want to be so autonomous, whatever. And then they never actually succeed, neither in relationships nor with their personal goals. Or maybe that's even you right now. I want to give you this analogy because it's very powerful. What's easier and leads to more enjoyment and more success in traveling the world? Scenario number one, you want to travel the world, but you have no place to return to. You have no place to actually come back to, but you want to travel the world. Scenario number two, same thing, you want to travel the world, but you have a place that you can always, at any point in time, you know you can come back to this at any moment. What will lead to you enjoying this whole journey more? And to you actually going out there more, having more courage, having these deeper experiences that you want to have? Well, certainly number two, right? Because you know that there's something you can depend on. And the exact same thing is true for relationships and business success, or any other life goal that you're striving towards. If you have a partner where you know you can depend on them, where you know you will stick together, that allows you to go out into the world and chase your goals. But if you have a relationship where you worry that she might leave you, whether that's rational worries or not, it doesn't really matter. You worry that she might leave you, or that conflict might break out if you tell her that you want to work instead of spending time with her, or whatever it might be. Well, then it's very fucking difficult to do that work and to actually be efficient and especially creative in that work. Every man who's ambitious is striving for a relationship that allows him to be independent, that allows him to just have his freedom. And those are the exact men who never actually have that freedom, who always chase after that freedom but never actually get it, because they have this completely backwards. The stronger the connection and the bond with your woman, the more you essentially depend on each other, right? Not from a negative perspective, but from a very positive perspective. You know you can trust each other, you know you can depend on each other, you know you can come back to each other at any point in time. And you know nothing will happen. Nothing that you can do will break that relationship apart suddenly because of one single thing that you do. When you have that relationship, that allows both of you to chase your goals independently of each other. I've heard of this dependency paradox years ago, or read about it years ago, and I built a relationship that allows me to essentially have exactly that freedom. Where I know, okay, if I need to do something, if I need to get something done, if I need to go to a different country, if I need to live in a different country, which is, by the way, the thing that I've done for the last year. I'm back in Germany right now, just for a week, basically. But if I need to do that, but my girl has to travel back and forth, and there's a lot of long distance, and even now, like, I'm here, she's somewhere in Italy right now with her family, that happens. But that's okay. We know that we will come back to each other, and we're not afraid of anything. We're not afraid that, whatever long distance will break the relationship apart. No, bullshit, because we know, okay, we have this solid fucking foundation. And the exact same thing happened for Leo and Tim, my clients who I mentioned earlier, right? For Tim, he found an awesome woman and built a great relationship with an awesome woman where he can depend on her. And Leo transformed his relationship in a way that allowed him to chase his goals fully. And look where that led him. Like, he bought a fucking second jewelry shop at 21. Fucking crazy. This guy, man. Fucking proud of him. Anyway, just understand, it is not about being independent. Independence is a fucking myth. We are group animals. Humans are group animals. Stop fighting your biology. It will always be an uphill battle. I just want to throw this quote at you that I have in my mind every day, basically, from this fantastic book, Attached, which is a book on attachment science, right? And they said, I'm trying to get this perfect, but they said something like, dependency is a fact, not a choice or a preference. I think that was exactly it. And that's exactly the fucking point, man. And here's another quote from the same book. I'm paraphrasing again, but it says something like, if you want to travel down the road to independence, first find the person that you can depend on and travel down this road with them together. Remember how I told fucking hell, I can't talk anymore. Remember how I told you earlier about Tim and about how he told me that building a stable, secure, peaceful, rock solid relationship was one of the best things he has ever done for his business. That's exactly the point here. He built a relationship where he was so dependent on his woman, not in a negative way, right? Not in a way where like she's gonna use him or gonna hurt him or whatever, but in a way where they both depend on each other and they both trust each other so deeply. And yes, that is a risk. There's always a risk. That's love. Like, that's relationships. Fuck off if you're like, oh, but that's a risk, whatever. Yeah, cool. Then just be a loner for the rest of your life. Anyway, that exact thing allowed him, this is the perfect real life example, it allowed him to actually focus on his work, focus on his business. And now he has more business than he's ever had before. Literally has to hire people just to keep up with the work. Fucking crazy, man. And one last point that I want to make here is, Tim, yes, he found a great woman, but it's not about finding the one. This whole concept of the one hasn't even existed more than like a couple hundred years. You probably didn't know that, but the Romantics, right, in the era of Romanticism a couple hundred years ago, they made this whole concept of the soulmate and the one. They made this up, and we were so brainwashed by them, even till this day, that we believe in this stuff, when really it's not about finding the one person, it's about building the one relationship with not the right person, but a right person. And you might already be with that person. So now make sure that you can depend on each other and that you can travel down this road towards independence with each other in a loving, supportive, trusting way. That's what it's about, man. Beautiful Porsche driving by here right now. Beautiful silver old-timer. There's like a road back there, right? Fucking hell, man. One day, trust me, one day. Anyway, if you're the kind of guy who is actually serious about not letting his relationship and his romantic life hold back his business, and if you can see that a thriving relationship and a thriving business actually supercharge each other, if you understand that, then don't forget to hit that link in the description and check out the explainer video over there where I explain exactly how I am able to help you. And if that sounds interesting to you, then you can hit that big orange button on that page and send in an application, and then we can get on a free call to essentially figure out whether we are aligned to work together. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit that link right now. And hey, if you're not ready for a true transformation of yourself and of your relationship, that's completely fine as well. And then if you want to learn more about how to not be so afraid of losing your woman and how to be more grounded, how to show up in a way where you can actually confidently say no to your woman, then actually this very video will help you a fuck ton. So check this out right now. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.